Hi everybody, my name is Bruce Vonder Haar. Welcome to JoplinGlobe.com. Appreciate you logging on. This is our weekly Take 10 segment, and we are very pleased to have Missouri Southern women's head basketball coach Maryann Mitts on the show today. Okay, first of all, Coach, appreciate you coming in and visiting with us. You guys are really right now on a roll. You've won 4 games in a row, playing your best basketball of the season right now. Just overall, talk about in this stretch of 4 games the way this team is kind of coming together now and playing really good basketball.
Well, you know, I've been here 8 years, and it's probably one of the best stretches that I've ever been associated with since arriving here at Missouri Southern. And I think one of the things that happens in the course of a season is you come to a breaking point when you lose a couple of games, which we did a few weeks back, and how your team responds to those losses really determines your basketball season. I think that a couple of things have happened in the last 4 games, and our defense has gotten extremely better, and we have some kids that are really hungry and have a lot of experience.
Now, you now have 129 career wins at Missouri Southern, coming off a win. So you've tied with Jim Phillips now for the all-time wins list at Missouri Southern as far as women's coaches go. So I know that's an honor you're going to give a lot of your players and your coaching staff, but just talk about, you're going to obviously pass this very soon. Talk about all these wins and now becoming the all-time wins leader at Missouri Southern.
Well, I think anytime you choose a career like teaching or coaching, it's a vocation, it's a passion. And you know, breaking records like this are something that you read about with the Pat Summits, and you just don't think of yourself as somebody that may leave your legacy in a record book. So as far as that's concerned, I feel very fortunate that in the coaching profession, that I've been at the same place for 8 years. It's kind of odd that you would be able to keep your job for that long and have as much success, consistent success as we have, but I do credit a lot of players and our coaching staff. Rhonda Hubbard's name should be right next to mine in this because of the way she prepares our basketball team for their opponent, and I'm very pleased with it. I think it's exciting for our program, but I just think of a lot of people were involved in a lot of those wins.
And I'm curious to get your impression on this. 8 years, and I think right now you guys are 13-4, 7-3 in the MIAA. You mentioned it earlier, playing really good basketball. This has got to be one of the high points of your career at Southern. What's going on right now? Obviously, you've had some really good moments here, but what's going on right now is pretty exciting in the time that you've been here. Absolutely.
I think you know, over the last several years, it's just always seemed like an uphill battle. I think when you play in the MIAA, nothing ever comes easy. And coaching and recruiting is just kind of a lost art. You can never quite figure it out because it changes year to year. What I feel like is that we finally probably brought in the kids that are conducive to our coaching style and to our style of play. We went with a much smaller lineup this year, and I think that has helped us tremendously. And then I think that you know, we've just ended up in a situation where we have a lot of seniors in our program right now that understand and have the experience of what it takes to play in the MIAA. But I'm enjoying coaching this year far more than I have in any other year. And what's funny about this, Bruce, is at the beginning of the year, I put so much stock in last year's team and the talent that was out on the floor. I thought that's where we were going to reap all the benefits. And there were no expectations placed on this year's team, and they're exceeding them just in a way that I never imagined.
Yeah, it's amazing how that works. And you mentioned this year's team is a lot different than last year's as far as, you know, you look at your team run out onto the floor and you're not really going to intimidate anybody. You're not as big as you were last year, like you said. So coming into the season, did you just think we're going to have to play different, or do you keep the same philosophy, or how did you change from what you did last year to what you're doing this year?
Well, I think 2 things that we did was we moved Lindsay Davis and Danielle DeVader from the 2-3 spots into the 4 position. We felt like even at 5'10", 5'11", they would fit that mold a lot better. And you don't see a lot of 6'1", 6'2", 6'3", 6'4 players on our team because really offensively that just isn't conducive to that style of player. That's the first thing we did. And then the second thing I think we made sure in our recruiting process is we're all about a work ethic. We're all about the intangibles. We're all about being coachable and having a great attitude. And I think sometimes we went and recruited kids that they had never even heard those words. And so what you're trying to do is it's apples and oranges. And I think right now we just have a team that understands a work ethic. They understand playing consistent basketball, and it's working real well for us.
And what else is working is you guys are going on the road in a very good conference, the MIAA. And we're always talking about how you have to win home games, and then if you can get on the road and steal a couple here and there, you know, you're going to be in the mix. But you guys have won 4 conference games already. We're halfway through the conference season. You've won more conference games than you have conference home games, and you've won more on the road than you won at home, including a 32-point win at Omaha, which is just amazing. You're coming off the most recent game at Maryville where you beat Northwest. So, boy, you're really doing some stuff on the road this year, aren't you?
We are, and it's the maturity of our basketball team. You know, those kids that played last year were role players. They're now moving up into starting roles, and when that happens, I think they understand the importance of a couple things on the road. Number one, you have to start the first 5 minutes well in both halves. So the start of the game has to be great, and the start of the second half has to be great. And I think we've mastered that so far. And then you have to play great defense. And I think that because we're playing such great sound defense, it's putting us in a position to have an opportunity to win basketball games on the road.
Yeah.
It just so happens that we are winning those. And it's kind of been fun and refreshing to know that when we come back home, there's no reason why we shouldn't continue that streak.
And you're coming home this weekend against Truman. And when you look at the league this year, it's exciting the way you're playing. You're tied for 3rd in the league, but every year it's Washburn, Emporia, and then everybody else fights for that 3, 4, 5 spot. But this year, you've already beaten Washburn in maybe the most dramatic game of the year, beat them by 1. Those 2 teams have really come back down to earth, or I don't know, maybe everybody else has caught up to them. I don't know which way it's gone, but this league is wide open for the first time. Anybody can win this league, and it's not going to be Washburn or Emporia. It could be anybody.
Absolutely, and it's hard to even talk about what's happening in our league because it is so different. I can't even put words to what's happening in our league because we've never seen anything like it. Would you think that a Michelle Stevie, who's no longer at Emporia, makes that big of a difference? Maybe so. But also you see the Central Missouris and the Pittsburgh States and the Missouri Southerns, who have always kind of been around that 4, 5, 6 mark. Now they're moving up into the 1, 2, 3 standings. And then you see a huge separation. And we've never seen the separation midway through the league where those teams have losing records. We've always seen such parity all the way down, and now there is a division right in the middle of it, and it's interesting to just watch.
The top 5 teams, and then you're right, it's everybody else after that. And another exciting thing about your team is there's no one player where we have to shut this girl down to beat Missouri Southern. You've got 3 girls, I think, that are averaging between 12 and 13 points. So the balance, whether it's India Wood or Myosha Barnes, Danielle DeVader, whoever, you're getting contributions up and down the lineup this year.
We are, and it's not putting pressure on any one certain person to come out and have career nights for us to win ball games. They're spreading the wealth. Last night at Northwest, Myosha Barnes has only hit 4 threes this whole year, and they're sagging off of her, and she's 4 for 4 from the 3-point line. That's what's making us a much better team this year, is that the kids are stepping up and they're making plays. They know what their shot selection should be. We're taking care of the basketball, and people can't just focus on 1 or 2 people. They really have to be concerned with 4 or 5. And now, Jolie Apon and Michelle Hedgecock, those are kids that if you let them loose, they could have a big night as well. So our depth is helping us considerably.
Last question. Halfway through the season, what are you now focusing on, you and Coach Mitts, Coach Hubbard, and the rest of your staff? Halfway to go, what's the thing that we need to do to keep this thing going and to really compete to finish in that top 3 in the league?
One of the things we have not done this year, and I really have to work on this, is we've never talked about winning this year. And as a coach, it's hard to say, let's not win this game or win this game and use that word win. We haven't talked about that. What we talked about is blocking out, rebounding, tempo on our execution, and then what the results has been the winning. So I think we need to just continue to mainstay that. I think the other thing is our defense and our rebounding continues to be an emphasis as we turn the second round, and then individual development of our players. I think anytime you hit the second round, your players have to be just a little bit better. They have to be a little bit smarter. If India Wood, if they're taking away their 3, which is her A game, she has to be able to pull and go to her B game, which might be a dribble drive penetration. If kids don't advance their games come the second round, you're not going to see the offensive production because the coaching gets better. The tapes, people evaluate the tapes a lot better, and the players get a lot smarter. So we're going to have to make sure that we evaluate and elevate our games.
Well, it's been an exciting start to the season. Congratulations on that. Keep up the good work. And, again, congratulations on getting those wins and becoming the all-time wins leader at Southern.
Thank you, Bruce.
All right,
appreciate it.
That's Maryann Mitts, the head basketball coach at Missouri Southern. You're watching Take 10 on JoplinGlobe.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next week.